Welcome to the Center for U.S. War Veterans Oral Histories, based out of the National Guard Militia Museum of New Jersey in Seagirt, a partner of the Library of Congress's Veterans History Project. Today is April 28, 2009. I'm Carol Fowler. My honored veteran is Charles N. Miglis, who served with the United States Navy in World War II in the North Atlantic as well as in the Pacific Theater of Operations. Charlie served from October of 1937 until April of 1962 and was in the submarine service and submarine tender. Do you have, since your career Navy, do you have a rank that I should call you? What was your highest rank when you retired?
Fire Control Technician, First Class.
Okay.
FT1 SS. SS means Qualified Submarines.
Thank you for wanting to be here today, Charlie. Your eyewitness account is considered a primary historical source and a valuable contribution for my oral history project at the Militia Museum. Good afternoon, Charlie, and welcome.
Thank you.
Take me back to life before the Navy and before the war. What was life like for you and your family? You were from Florida?
Well, I was born in Tarpon Springs, Florida, which was a Greek sponge fishing town. But there was a hurricane down there and blew the roof off our house, and my mother moved back up to Brooklyn when I was about 3 months old. So I spent most of my time in Brooklyn at a young age.
I hear that in your voice, Brooklyn.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Flat push.
And so had anyone in your family served before you?
No, I was the first one. My older brother and I went in at the same time. We belonged to the Naval Reserve in Brooklyn, U.S. Naval Reserve in Brooklyn. And we got called on active duty in April in 1941.
Tell me about how you came to be in the Naval Reserve.
Well, I always liked the Navy, even as a young boy at 9 years old. I joined an outfit called the Junior Naval Militia. It's like the Boy Scouts, only it was Navy.
Was that out of the Brooklyn Naval Yard?
No, it was in a school in Brooklyn. But it was just like a Boy Scout outfit, but it was Navy. And they participated in different parades and torches, different things about the sea.
Did you go out on the water?
No, it's only 9, and they didn't have any ships available or boats available then.
Tell me about your memories of the attack on Pearl Harbor.
Well, in in October 1941, I was already called to active duty then, and we were up in Argentia, Newfoundland, on a submarine tender, the USS Griffin. Yeah, we were attending the S-boats, which were built around the 1920s. And
what kind of shape were they in? They were old.
I was on the USS Griffin, a submarine tender, AS-13.
Was it in good condition?
It was brand new. It was
okay.
a converted War McCormick steam freighter that was a Lend-Lease ship that the Navy took over. In those days, the government paid for construction of the ships for the civilian shipbuilding industry, and with the stipulation that if a war came, they'd take the ships back. And they did this with this ship. It made 3 trips down to South America as a civilian ship, and then the Navy took it back.
Do you want to talk about Lend-Lease and what that was all about?
Something like that, yeah.
No, do you want to describe what Lend-Lease was?
Well, the government paid for the building of the ships, and the crew was all Naval Reserve mostly. The officers were mostly Naval Reserves, and when they took the ship back, mostly all the officers came with it, and they were the officers on the ship that became the USS Griffin. Yeah.
And we were lending ships to Great Britain?
I beg your pardon? Regular merchant ships.
Oh, okay.
And regular, civilian merchant ships.
Okay.
Yeah. But the ships that they gave to Great Britain were destroyers, four-stacker destroyers.
Okay.
Yeah, they gave them 50 of those. And they came out of mothballs in Philadelphia.
Interesting. Where did the Navy first send you?
Well, after we went out on shakedown cruise around Block Island and places like that, we went up to Argentia, Newfoundland. And
But did you have like basic training first or boot camp or anything?
When they called us to active duty, they sent us to Norfolk, Virginia to boot camp because the reserves were fouling up. They trained us for four-stacker destroyer. That's the old type of destroyer. And they didn't put us on those kind of ships. They put us on tankers and other kinds of ships, So they were not familiar with them. And they decided when they called us to active duty, they had to send us to boot camp. And all of them, from even the chiefs and everybody on every reserve unit, went through boot camp. Yeah.
I would imagine that it was easier for you because of your activity as a kid in the reserve.
Well, we didn't have any problem with it.
Yeah. Was it exciting for you? It's what you always wanted to do.
In the
right?
Navy? Oh, yes. Besides that, I was a recruit chief petty officer in boot camp. My brother was a first class petty officer, recruit petty officer. Not a regular one like on active duty, but like you're in charge of the troop and boot camp. And well, we were pretty senior then.
So what kind of duties did you have as a recruit officer?
They were teaching us all different marching procedures and how to take care of guns and different things like that, and we went out rowing every day, they had, in those days they had rowboats in the Navy.
Wow.
Yeah, and...
Could you swim?
A little bit, yes.
It wasn't...
Not too much.
Yeah, it wasn't a requirement.
No.
You didn't have to know how to swim.
No, not like now, no.
You're not like now where you see the movies where they throw the recruits in the pool, right?
Yeah, well...
Okay, so you were in Norfolk and then you went to Newfoundland?
Yes. Went to Newfoundland. We were up there about 3 months, and the war started. On December 7th, we were up there.
And what was that like?
It was cold.
No, I mean, already being in the service and then having Pearl Harbor attacks.
Well, we really didn't know what was going on. We didn't know...
But was it exciting that you were...
anything about it, where Pearl Harbor was or
right.
where the fleet was or any of that stuff. We didn't have any idea what was going on out in the Pacific. There was an Atlantic group, and what we were doing while we were up in Newfoundland, the submarines up there that we had was spying on the Germans that were trying to sink the Canadian ships going to England, because England had already been at war for 3 or 4 years by then. And the American destroyers and our submarines were trying to find the German submarines and report them to the British and protect the convoys that were going over to England. But anyway, when the war started,
right.
we came running back to the United States. There, we loaded up in New London, Connecticut. There, working night and day. And
what kind of things were you loading?
We loaded, going to take this relief crew out and start up a repair station in Brisbane, Australia. We didn't know we were going there then.
Ah.
But we had about 350 torpedoes on board and 10 complete sets of radar. And radar was just coming out then. And we had this radar for destroyers that were out in the fleet already that were going to be converted out in the field there. and we took out this repair unit there. That was the first one that ever was taken out of the States and set up in a foreign country. And we set it up in Newfoundland Wharf in Brisbane, Australia. And we were down there for almost a year in Brisbane.
That was early in the war, so were there some torpedo malfunctions?
I beg your pardon? There was, and that went on, I remember in 1943, they were still testing for that. The torpedoes sometimes were running erratic, where they would come around and attack the submarine that they were shot from, you know. I think some of them were hit, you know. It was undecided which ones, you know, but they were erratic torpedoes. And another thing, the exploder in the torpedoes, when you hit, the exploder would set the warhead on. There wasn't going off, and they just bounce up against the side of a ship. Yeah, but in 1943, I was in Pearl Harbor and in Honolulu, and they were testing the torpedoes and trying to determine what was wrong with the exploder there. So it went on for quite a while.
What was the state of readiness of the Navy after the Pearl Harbor attack?
Very poor. Yeah. When we were going out to Brisbane, Australia, we went down the Atlantic coast there, and we didn't have any idea that, as far as the crew was concerned, I don't know about the officers on the ship, but as far as the crew was concerned, we didn't have any idea that the German submarines were out there.
Oh.
You know, and we went down through the Panama Canal, and when we came out on the other side, we had these 6 really old submarines, the S-boats, and we were taking them to Brisbane, and they could only do about maybe 9 knots or something like that tops. They was about 10 miles an hour, and they had this really crazy defensive scheme where they had these submarines, 6 of them, 1,000 yards apart and in front of us, and if they saw anything, we'd turn around and run, and whatever is attacking us would come down through these submarines that had dived, and I don't think anybody ever thought that the 2,000 yards on the other side of them there was another submarine, you know, so if they shot a torpedo out of a level, and if they missed a level, hit the other submarine. But anyway, and they break down almost every night, and here we are out in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, they had, with these big cargo lights, they had 18-inch lights there like that, shine down, we'd lower a boat down and take them over to some bale and wire, put them back together, because we had all the mechanics and everything like on board our ship that could do things like that, you know. But this happened regularly, and it took us about a month to get to Australia for Panama.
So you were on a submarine tender. Can you describe that for us?
Well, a submarine tender is a unique ship. Any tender is like a submarine tender or a destroyer tender, airplane tender or something like that. We could build a submarine, believe it or not. There. We had equipment on board there that you could repair any kind of periscopes. We had pattern shops where they could make patterns for mold and cast mold, and machine shops to machine pieces of equipment right from scratch, from ingots of metal, you know. And we had all kinds of shops, every kind of shop under the sun, and a big hospital on board. We had like 5 surgeons on the ship, and we carried enough. We were supposed to carry enough fuel and food and equipment for 12 submarines for 6 months, and act on our own.
Wow.
Yeah.
And your job on your, can I call it a ship?
My job then was a gunner's mate. I was a gunner's mate on that ship.
I thought you were an electronic tech.
I was a fire control. I changed my rate from gunner's mate to fire control technician after a while when I got on submarines.
So what kind of gun are we talking about?
We had like, on a fantail, we had an old 5-inch gun, yeah, 5-inch 51, that only elevated about 15 degrees. So it wasn't much good for any anti-aircraft or
Right.
anything like that, but it was a surface gun.
Okay.
And after a couple of trips to Australia, they traded it in for an incinerator.
Oh,
With that little bit of use, and we got 4 3-inch 50s, and we had a bunch of 40 millimeters and 20 millimeters guns on it, and 50 caliber machine guns. And I had, as a gunner's mate, I was in charge of the 2 forward 3-inch 50 guns, and the 20 millimeters up there, and the 2 20 millimeters up on the bridge. Yeah.
what's your favorite memory of shooting the guns? Do you have a favorite memory?
Of shooting the guns? Not really.
Were
They're
you-
loud. They're awful.
Wow.
The 3-inch 50s have an awful loud crack. Yeah. Well,
Did you suffer hearing loss back then?
yeah.
You
Well, I didn't know it then, but I think from those guns and the 5-inch 25 gun, which means that they have a very, very short barrel. You can almost reach down the barrel and touch a projectile on a 5-inch 25. Yeah, that the crack on that is just as loud as a 3-inch 50. A 5-inch gun is 5 inches in diameter. A 3-inch gun is 3 inches in diameter. Yeah, and they're very loud, a real sharp crack to them, and I think that's what contributed to my hearing loss.
And you had no ear protection?
Give you cotton if you thought of it.
Cotton.
We were macho in those days.
Right.
Yeah.
Tell me about Australia. Were the people friendly there?
The people were exceptional there.
Yeah.
They really thought that we were God's gift to the war, you know, and everything like that, you know. And when we hit Brisbane, we were the first American ship in there in 28 years.
Wow.
And the river up to Brisbane is 14 miles long. And the banks were just lined solid with people. They came from all over the country to welcome us to Australia.
What a great story.
Yeah, really good duty. Yeah.
Did you have contact with the Australian military as well?
I'm going to say no. There for a while, the New Zealand Maoris came back from Africa there, and the contacts we had with them, they restricted all our liberty and wouldn't let us go ashore or anything. They didn't like Americans. Thought they were taking their girlfriends and all that kind of stuff, you know. So
What does Maui mean?
that's the name of the people, like an Indian in America is a Cherokee. That's
Oh, the natives. That's what I thought you meant.
Yes, they're a native New Zealander, a Maui.
And what's Kiwi?
Kiwi is a bird, little bird.
No, I
that
mean,
doesn't-
didn't they call the people Kiwi or something?
Yeah, well, a kiwi is a bird
Right.
that doesn't fly. It's,
Okay.
it's a fowl that doesn't fly.
Right.
Yeah.
So do you have any other stories from Australia?
Well, one I remember is that if you had to go across country, some of the fellows were being transferred from the East Coast to the West Coast. It took you 2 weeks to get across country, and they had 3 different gauges of railroad, 3 different size tracks there. And it didn't run at nighttime a lot of times, you know. And you'd have to lay over in some town or something like that, you know. But it was exceptional duty. I really liked being in business.
How long were you there?
We got down there in April, and we left almost a year later, something like that. I forget. I think we got back in the States in January
44?
43.
Where did you come back to in the States?
To a civilian repair shipyard in Oakland, California. Yeah.
And how long were you there?
A month is 33 days.
Did
They
you
gave
have to work?
And they gave you, they split the crew up into 3 sections. You get 10 days leave, and I come across country in 10 days
Wow.
on a train, the Challenger.
How long were you home for?
About a day and a half.
Oh.
And I spent the rest of the time on a train there, and no heat. And it was really miserable
It's
riding.
winter.
5 times I made that trip across country on a train. Yeah.
Oh my
In those
goodness.
days, that was really rough. Yeah.
Wow. You couldn't get a flight.
We used to start out where they didn't have, you know, you have to have the windows open. Didn't have air conditioning, didn't have heat, you know. If you come across in the winter time there wasn't any heat, you know, or anything like that on the train. And if you come across in the summertime, they kept all the windows open, and the soot from the engine would be coming in.
Mm-hmm.
And we used to wear an old suit of whites, you know,
Oh, yeah.
white uniform. And when we got to Chicago, then we'd throw the white uniform away.
It was black.
And there was a USO there that we go and get washed up and take a shower and everything like that, get cleaned up. And then at 6 o'clock, we get the train from Chicago to New York. I lived in New York then, in Brooklyn.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh. Where did you go after California?
Oh, we were back out to Pearl Harbor. Yeah. And we were in Pearl Harbor for about 9 months. Yeah.
How was that? Was it nice?
I didn't think so. I became a diver then. I went to diver school and became a second-class diver. And we were working on the submarine. They're pulling the overboard discharge valves off them underwater. And like one time, I was about 10 foot down in the mud of the sill. Didn't even know it. The water's so black there and
Wow.
dirty and everything, and it's all covered with the oil from the ships that had been sunk
Right.
and everything. And the diving mask that we had in those days, like, was a converted gas mask, and they just take the thing. I call it the raspberry thing. They used to breathe out through, you know, when they have a gas mask on. Or they put hook a hose onto that, a welding hose onto that, and pump air down to you, you know. But the air going down was right next to the exhaust coming out of a little two-one-lung engine that they were pumping the air with.
Oh no.
You know, so you get a lot of exhaust down that thing there. But we were working from sun up to sundown, and we didn't get much liberty there. You know, but sometimes we get the only liberty you get, you go up to like a relief camp up in Pearl City, and you had what we call chits, they're little like movie tickets, you know, and you get 4 of those for 4 beers, and you get up in the head of the line, you get your 2 beers, and then you get the 2 beers, you run all the way back down to the end of the line, and then you get in the end on the line again, and then you open up the beers and run them down, and then all the beers shoot out the kid.
Oh, that's funny.
It was a deal. But, and I think I only got into town about once or twice into Pearl Harbor, and everything was restricted. And you know, the town was really under lockdown, like, you know, the bars, you had to, even in the bar, you had to chits for drinks, you know, and stuff like that, you know, and all that. And then don't forget now, I'm a single John, you know, only about 23 years old, 24 years old, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was 23 when I got called on active duty. Yeah, I was 19 when I went in the Naval Reserves in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. So, what happened after Pearl Harbor?
Well, we came back to the States, then we got about a 3 months overhaul in the States, And
Back to Oakland?
no, I went to Vallejo, the shipyard, the Navy shipyard in Vallejo.
California?
Yeah. And then we went back out to Brisbane, Australia. We stayed there a couple of weeks, I guess. And then we went to Perth, Australia, on the other side, on the western side. And we stayed there about 6 months in Perth.
And what was a typical day like for you there?
I was an instructor for the gunnery range. Was instructed in pistols and rifles and machine guns, some machine guns. And I did that most of the time I was there. And I don't think I had a battery. I was in the magazine gang. Magazine is where they stow the ammunition on a ship. And the magazine lockers where the ammunition is stowed. So I was on the beach most of the time in this gunnery range.
How was the beach?
By the beach, I mean on land.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That's Navy talk. How did you like Perth compared to Brisbane?
I like Brisbane better. Had a girlfriend in Brisbane.
Oh,
Yeah.
we didn't say that.
Yeah. Almost got married there.
Wow, how about that?
About 125 guys on my ship got married down there.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's quite a lot.
Yeah, there was.
So do you want to talk about what happened? You just lost touch?
I don't know what happened to him.
No, I mean the girl in
Oh, the
Brisbane.
girl? We left there and didn't go back.
Yeah,
No.
that's too bad.
Yeah, we were going together pretty steady
Yeah.
there for a while.
Well, you were so young, right?
Well, I was about 24.
Yeah. What happened after Perth?
Well, from Perth we went up to the islands. We left out of there and went to Biak and New Guinea. And from there...
Who'd you go with? Who did
I was on a ship, on a Griffin,
Who did the Griffin go with?
by itself.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what was your mission?
To take care of submarines. We now had the new fleet boat subs. We picked up fleet boat subs in Brisbane, and we had Squadron 2 of fleet boat subs, I think it was. No, Squadron 12, well, of these fleet boat subs.
And so can you describe what a typical day was like going to the islands?
Hot and heavy, miserable up there. One time the paymaster was a lieutenant, went over to draw money for the ship, off the beach, and he got caught in a storm, a real bad storm, and he's in a motor whaleboat out in the storm, and he lost the bag with the money, about $1 million. Got washed away. Besides a lot of papers and stuff like that, Yeah. A motor whaleboat is like a big rowboat with a motor in.
And so what happened to him?
They had an inquiry, and nothing happened to him really. The storm was so bad. He was lucky that they weren't all killed or drowned.
Oh, there were other people with him.
Oh yes, there was the boat crew and 2 other guys to the pay office.
Did they have to be rescued?
No, they finally they got back to alongside the ship, and they got them back aboard again.
And back then, $1 million
Was a lot of
like
money.
$1 billion.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Right.
So you guys didn't get paid?
No, they when the storm calmed down, and went back and got some more money. Yeah. Because the ship, the tender, the Griffin, they had not only paid us, but they carried a relief crew for the submarines, and then they carried the pay for all the submarines too. So when a submarine come in off of patrol, if the guys want to get paid, in cash or something like that, then he would pay them on payday 2 weeks is payday,
Mm.
So, but a lot of them, they let their money ride.
What were living conditions like for you aboard the Griffin?
It was not too bad, not too bad. The bunks, the bunks were regular Navy bunks, about 6 feet long and 1.5 wide.
I think I would get claustrophobia.
One time there, my bunk was all the way up at the bow of the ship. And the bulkhead comes down like that, with the bow, like the bow shaped like that. And the bottom bunk was right up about that far away from the bulkhead. And the top bunk where I was sleeping, there was about that far away, And at nighttime, they turn the lights out, all the lights out, and all they have is some like red lights around so that you barely see your way around. And I don't know what happened, but they sound your own quarters in the middle of the night, And I jumped out of the bunk on the wrong side.
Uh-oh, you got
And
stuck?
my feet got caught down in between the bulkhead and the bottom bunk.
Oh, no.
And in the dark. And I don't know where I was or what was happening or something. I really panicked.
And everyone left?
Everybody was running to jump quarters,
Right.
And I was stuck there, Pretty soon I was hollering and everything like that, But I finally got myself loose and got out there.
Did you get disciplined?
But I really panicked.
What happened with your gun? You weren't at your gun.
Well, it only took a couple of minutes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Right. Yeah. But yes, they do. They close all the hatches, right? And what I did was went down into the magazines. The entrance into the magazines was off of that deck, so I went down into the magazines, and there's a little elevator that you send the ammunition up
Right.
to the magazine. It was 2 foot by 2 foot square,
Oh,
And I got in the elevator and set myself up to the gun on the elevator.
that was innovative. You thought of what to do. Do you sleep with your shoes on?
No,
Yeah.
no.
What did you wear on board ship?
Well, you wear dungarees.
Right.
Yeah. They make sure you're always dressed, because of an attack, and it's like flame retardant,
Oh, right.
Yeah,
So
Yeah.
tell me about fire protection. How close were the hoses to each other?
Oh, they were all over the place.
Right.
Yeah, they were all over the place.
That was a big worry. Was
And then
fire.
you had a regular fire crew,
Right.
They call it damage control,
Did you ever have-
hit or anything like that, but it's their job to patch the holes and put out the
Right.
fires and repair the ship.
Did you ever have fire or flooding aboard?
No.
Oh, that's good.
Okay. So that brings it back to the islands. Yeah, after we left Bayak, we went to the Philippines.
Where?
We stopped in Tacloban in the Philippines, and we were there while the ships were all being assembled in the Lady Gulf there. And then from there we went up to Subic Bay.
What was going on at the time in the Philippines?
When we went into Subic Bay, it was 8 days after they invaded there. And they really blew that place apart. Right at the entrance to the bay, there was a little island with a gun emplacement on it. Like a Japanese gun emplacement. And that thing was leveled down to the dirt. Nothing there.
So you're considered to have helped with the liberation of the Philippines. That's
Yes.
one of your
Yeah.
awards.
Yeah, we were went in there 8 days after they invaded it.
Mm-hmm.
And then the submarines were working out of there. And then the ships, the cruisers and destroyers were going down from Subic Bay, going down into Manila and bombing Manila. And then they come back, and the Japanese were, when they were shooting at them, their projectiles weren't going off. They're just like duds, So they come back and they were all full of holes there from these projectiles that weren't going off.
Oh.
So we made up a whole batch of 2 by 2 foot square pieces of metal on our ship, and we patch them all night long, or all day long rather, and they go out and shoot up Manila, and the rest of it 24 hours, you know. But this went on for quite a while. Yeah. And then from there, after a while, we got relieved by another tender, and we went to Midway and back to Midway, and we worked out of Midway for a while. And then from there, I got my order to go back to San Diego to go to gunnery school, but I had to wait 6 weeks for transportation, and I caught a submarine passing through, going back to Pearl Harbor. Yeah, and I rode that thing back to Pearl. And
how'd you like that?
There was no bunk, slept on the deck.
Oh.
Yeah, and everything. It was just, there's no room just for the crew. You know, but anyway, it only was like a 2-day run, something like that, like almost an overnight run.
Isn't the deck more comfortable to sleep on
The deck
than down below?
than your bunk? No, your bunk, you got a mattress.
Oh, okay. I meant like with the temperature and everything.
Oh, you mean outside?
Yeah.
Submarine, there's no outside.
Oh.
Oh, you're either in or you're out.
So how'd you sleep? What do you
Yeah.
mean what do you mean by the deck then? I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, any floor is a deck in the
Oh.
Navy.
All this Navy talk you're teaching me today. Okay. So was it a noisy place where you had to sleep? People were walking by?
No, I was sleeping up in the fore torpedo room.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and there's no like monthly passages. It's just in between the tubes up there, you know, torpedo tubes up there. But anyway, and I got back to Pearl Harbor, and then I had to wait around there for a couple of days, a week or so, and I caught this Matsonia, a merchant ship that was being used as a transport, and that brought me back to the States at Treasure Island, and I got in 2 days after the war was over.
Now, why were you by yourself compared to?
Well, I had orders to go from my ship to San Diego to gunnery school.
Oh, right, you said that. Now, did you ever see the Japanese?
Huh?
Did you ever see the enemy, the Japanese?
A couple of times, yeah, the submarines bring ones that they captured, you know, and they brought back and they put them on our brig, our jail, like on our ship, until the MP could come and get them and take them someplace. I don't know where they took them.
Oh, okay. So what did you think when you heard about the atomic bomb drops?
Well, I was glad the war was over.
Right.
And I didn't think much about it because I didn't know what the consequences were then. No, I don't think any of us did. You know, how many people were killed or this or that, you know. We didn't, you know, when you're on a ship during the war, you got your own little island out there. And
Yeah.
whatever they feed you is what you know. And they don't feed you stuff like that.
Yeah.
We had a newspaper, a page about this long or something like that, you know, and whatever they get in over the wire, you know, the baseball scores, different things like that, you know, but nothing political and nothing like that.
Did you always have a sense that you would make it home and that we would
Definitely.
win the war?
Definitely.
That's good.
Definitely. I always had the idea that there never a bullet out there with my name on it.
Oh, that's a good
Yeah.
attitude.
And if I felt that I was going to get killed, I wouldn't be there.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I'd take the consequences and run away. I never felt like I was going to die,
Right.
you know. Well, anyway, and
So
I got back 2 days after the war was over, right?
Right.
So I was supposed to go to this gunnery school. So I was home on 30 days leave, and I went down to the receiving station in Brooklyn, and I told them what my orders and everything. I had my orders changed from going to gunnery school to go to Lido Beach in Long Island and get discharged. So I got out of the Navy.
I thought you were career Navy.
I did.
How long were you out of the Navy for?
About 9 months. And then went back in. I started all over again as a seaman.
Wow. Tell me about those 9 months.
Well, I was working for my father, who has a sponge business. I worked for him for about 6 years before I went in.
Your father was down in Florida?
No,
Oh.
in Brooklyn. He had a store in Brooklyn. Yeah. And
Did you
I
use
worked for
your...
him in New York, in Pearl Street in New York, right on the top of the Fulton Fish Market. There, he had a place there. I worked for him for about 6 years before the war started. And then after I got out, I worked for him again. And
Did
then
you
I
use
went back
your...
in the Navy.
Did you use your GI benefits when you got out? Did you?
Yeah, the 5220 Club.
Right.
Yes, I took that.
Did you buy a house or anything?
No. No, I didn't need a house. My father had a great big house in Brooklyn, and I lived there.
What got you back in the Navy?
My father's business was he was in the sponge business, and the Florida sponges had a big disease in them that lasted about 15 years.
Wow.
And the sponges that he was bringing in from Greece, the Nazis, when they went into Greece, they just stopped that, so he went bankrupt. So he was having a real hard time then. And
sorry.
I couldn't see much future there.
Mm-hmm.
So I really liked the Navy, so I went back in again. I started out all over again as a seaman.
What did they say when you walked up and said, "I'm back in"? What did they say?
I don't remember what they said, but I guess they were surprised.
And that must have been before Korea.
Because I didn't tell them. Afterwards, it was in 46, 47.
Okay.
Yeah. I went back in, and I got out in July of 46, and I went back in August of 46.
So you were only out a month between July and
I was really out about 9 months. Let me see. Oh, re-enlisted in
August
May.
of 47.
I got out in 45. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I got out in eight 7:45. I went back in 7:30:46.
Okay.
And then I asked for a battleship to be transferred to a battleship, or a cruiser, or a submarine tender. So they sent me to an air station in Jacksonville.
Oh, okay. What'd you do there? Jacksonville, Florida?
Yeah, Jacksonville, Florida. I was a inspector of aviation ordnance in Jacksonville.
How'd you like that job?
It wasn't bad, but I didn't like the people.
Oh.
Yeah. The airdales down there, all they could worry about was how to get out of an airplane, to jump out of an airplane. And that's about all they used to talk about, like they'd, like the Dauntless Dive Bomber of those days. There they'd talk about sliding down, get up and sliding down a few slides to the tail and going over the tail, and all this kind of stuff. And I don't know, holy mackerel.
Was it a naval air base?
Yeah, Naval Air Station, Jacksonville.
Oh, okay.
And then this one time, this chief His very good friend lived next door. They're best buddies. They're both families and everything like that. He puts the other guy on report so he can get his skins. So, you know, it's 125 guys in the department and only 100 sets of skins, flight skins, that way you get 50% of your pay for flying, you know. So he puts this other chief, this friend, on report so he could get his skins because he was next in line to get the skin.
Oh, a lot of backstabbing.
Holy mackerel. So,
Did you put in for a transfer?
huh?
Did you put in for a transfer?
Yeah, so I put in to go to submarine school in London, Connecticut.
Oh, okay.
And I got it. That's when I went to submarine school in May of '47.
And I guess you liked being closer to Brooklyn?
Yeah, and that was the deal.
Yeah.
First of all, don't forget now I'm a seaman. I'm only making like
Oh.
a few bucks a month, you know.
Oh.
So I'm up in London there, and sometimes I come home to Brooklyn. Didn't have a nickel.
Oh.
See, Route 1 used to run through New London, and then sometimes people would get a taxi cab from New York to New London, you know, like the sailors coming back or something like that. But the taxis couldn't take you back to New York, you know, they didn't have a license to do that, you know. So we used to stand on the street in
Hitchhike?
downtown New London there, and the taxi would come along, or somebody with a New York license, you know, and they'd stop at this light, and we'd jump in and say, will you take us to New York?
Oh, gosh.
And you're already in the car, the guy goes, you know, sailor in uniform right after the war, you know, but still
Oh,
patriotic. But they couldn't put you out, so they take you down. So I get down to a place like Canal Street, right? I get down on the West Side Highway, and a guy let me off at the Canal Street on the West Side Highway. Now, I'm a long way from Brooklyn, so I stopped walking out, and I had to ask a cop for a nickel a couple of times to take the subway, you know, from Canal Street to Brooklyn. Oh, twice I walked all the way from the
Wow.
West Side Highway and like Canal Street all the way over across the Manhattan Bridge, down Flatbush area to Brooklyn. Yeah.
It sounds like you had some really close ties to home, because I'm also remembering those 5 cross-country train rides that you took. It was important to you to be home, right?
It was.
Can you talk about that?
Well,
Who was home?
when you're out away from home
Yeah.
and away from the United States for a long, long time,
Yeah,
it's important to get home.
that's true.
Yeah. But, yeah.
And was everybody okay at home? You said your dad had lost his business.
Well, the first time I come home, you know, he was doing pretty good. He was working for this other sponge and chamois company, American Sponge and Chamois, and he was doing pretty good there, but the whole industry went down.
Oh,
You know?
yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me about New London. Did you like it?
I guess so.
The
I've
new
been
job?
there about 17 years or more.
Oh, you stayed there? Well,
Off
that's.
and on.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I got transferred to New London, went to submarine school there. Yeah. And went all through submarine school in New London. And you know the diving tower? Did you ever hear the diving tower up there? It's a round cylinder, 100-foot high, of water, right? So they teach you how to escape from a submarine there in a diving tower. And they have like a 25-foot level, a 50, 75, and 100-foot level there. And you go out in a 25-foot level, and this is a free ascent. See, so you just use whatever air you have in your lungs under pressure. The air's under pressure in your lungs, and then you have to blow it out and come up. And you have a line that you just hold on to, and you blow it all the while coming up. But even when you get down to the 100 feet, it's under pressure that all that water above you, and everything like that. So you can come up from 100 feet without anything on you, no breathing apparatus or anything like that, just breathing out.
Sounds
If
scary.
you hold your breath, it'll kill you. See, because it'll burst your lungs. So you got to make sure that the bubbles are coming out of your mouth all the time.
Did that ever happen to anyone?
A couple of guys got killed up there, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, in New London.
So is there a submarine in the tunnel, in the tower?
No, they have a mock submarine after torpedo room. They're at the bottom of this thing.
Right.
And the whole thing is just like it after torpedo room, and they flood the whole thing down the bottom, The hatch that you go out there has what they call a skirt on it. And they take the skirt that's, first of all, the hatch is a round hole, right? And up inside of it is like a
Compartment?
no, not a compartment, just another metal liner like. You unbolt that, bring it down, and put it up.
Are you by yourself?
No, you're with the whole group. You unbolt that, put it up, and then they let the water in. As the water comes in, the pressure builds up. So you better, like you put a glass upside down in the water, the top doesn't fill up with water. Same thing here. And then you hang it up there out of the water with your head above water, And then you take the buoy, you put it in the hole, and open up the hatch.
Oh.
And
it
the
pulls
buoy
you
goes
up?
up with a
Yeah.
line, and you just step into the water underneath the hatch there and go up.
And make sure that you don't panic. And make sure that you get one last good breath, right?
Yeah. Well, if you run out of breath, you just push yourself up a little bit. That's it.
Oh,
And you have more breath
that's good.
because your lungs are full of compressed air.
So how many times did you have to do that exercise?
Well, when I was on a boat there in New London, I used to do it every 6 months. Yeah.
Did you dread it, or was it no big deal?
In the wintertime, the way you went up from one place to another was outside, on a stairway. So here you are in this 90-degree water, and you have to go outside in the middle of the winter in New London, Connecticut, Groton, Connecticut, and go up to the next level and wait for them while they empty out the chamber or flood it or something like that. It's cold. Oh, boy.
And there's nobody waiting there with a towel for you.
No.
It would be nice if they were.
You don't have people waiting on you anywhere with a towel in the Navy.
Good point.
Okay. Okay, so after I got on the flying fish, that was really good duty.
Flying fish?
The submarine flying fish, USS Flying Fish, SS 229.
And can you describe that ship, that sub?
Huh?
What was that sub like? How big was it?
It was a fleet boat. Big, all the boats, all the diesel boats now, before they come out with the nuclear boats, are all the same, now. After they got rid of the S-boats from, the 20s and World War One,
Okay.
then they come out with the fleet boats at the beginning of World War II. Yeah.
And did they have computers then?
We had a torpedo data computer that was number 3 on a flying fish. Number 3. First one was a prototype, and the next one was a test run thing, and the first one that they put in actual use was the one that was on my ship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And it's mechanical, not electronic, mechanical. You transmit all your information from the periscope to the computer, from the computer to the torpedoes with servos and synchros. They're little motors, electric motors. You move one motor, moves another motor. Yeah.
Is that when you were the electronic technician?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, no, not then. No, that was on the next boat I was on. But this is on this boat here. It was, I was gunners mate on this boat.
Oh, okay.
This boat, the Flying Fish, was a gunship, a submarine gunship. It had two 5-inch guns, 5-inch 25s, and two 40 millimeters, and 450 caliber guns on it.
So how did that computer work? Was it efficient?
It must have been.
Okay.
We shot a lot of torpedoes with it, you know, and all during the war. Was the Flying Fish was the last submarine that went into commission before the war started. Yeah, and I went all through the war, made 14 war patrols. Yeah, and they were lucky to make it through. Yeah, and some of those guys there were on it the whole time too. You know, from time I went in commission till even when I come aboard, all during the war and long afterwards.
And what were living conditions like for you compared to being on the sub-tender?
Can't compare, you know, because, well, the bunk that I had, there was up on top of a torpedo, yes, and it was only about that high.
Oh.
And right alongside of me was a motor, was about this big, about that big around, with a bow plane tilting motor. But I liked it because the end was a fan on the end of it. They keep it cool all the time.
Oh. But it was loud, right?
Yeah, it goes.
How did you sleep?
And not only it was loud, it goes back and forth, you know.
You'll never
as
forget.
the planes were being tilted up and down, you know. The
So-
bow planes would keep the boat on a level keel.
So it was never quiet. That motor was always on, right?
When you're on a dive, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And then when you're running on the surface and the ship is rolling around, it keeps you from rolling out the bunk.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what about when the torpedoes get shot off? And you're right next to it? Or
No,
no?
the torpedoes in a rack.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. See, a submarine, no submarines carry 28 torpedoes.
It's just like a storage area
It
for
is.
the
Yeah.
torpedoes?
Torpedo room, the storage area, right?
Yeah.
Besides the 6 torpedoes, tubes in the front and 4 in the back. Yeah, in the bow and the stern.
Do you have any interesting stories of any kind of mishaps or any kind of funny incidents that happened?
Well, we used to go down to Springboard every spring, you know, and that was a deal where you go out on a 6-week trip down to the Bahamas and to Bermuda and Puerto Rico, St. Thomas, and all that kind of stuff, you know. And you work with destroyers. Yeah, they attack you and you would attack them. You know, sometimes you carry
Attack with what?
well, sometimes we carry dummy torpedoes, you know, with a dummy warhead on them, which is, a warhead full of water, you know, and so, you know, they make runs on you, we make runs on them, you know. Yeah, but that went on almost every spring. And then the boat was transferred to the underwater sound lab, which is also in New London, was in New London there. And they worked with the guys from Woods Hole Sound Laboratory and other different universities. We take them out, and they took all the torpedoes out of the 4 torpedo room, put a lot of sound gear up there that they were experimenting with. And they built a great big sonar head all around the conning tower, big, ugly looking thing, you know. And working with them, like we take those guys out every day, and like we go down and lay out on the bottom, Long Island Sound, and they'd do all the things, inventing new sound gear that's on the boats nowadays. Yeah. And about 4 or 5 o'clock, we'd come back in again, you know. And they'd have to leave a section in all the time, you know, a section. Say the boat is made up of 3 groups there. They call that a section. each one in section. And that's where you stay and watch, you know. Like section 1 is on watch, like so 4 to 8, and the other one's on watch from 8 to 12, you know, stuff like that. Or when you go out, when you will work with a sound lab or with student, then it'll leave a section in. So you get off at 8 o'clock in the morning after you had the duty, get off at 8 o'clock the next morning. Yeah.
What about the Korea War and the Cold War?
We were in during the Korean War in the 50s, you know, but it didn't affect us at all. Didn't even have any idea what was going on out there because we were working in New London. And
What about before that? Did you get news that the Soviets had the atomic bomb in 1949?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember if I did.
Was
If
there
we
any
did.
kind of tension with the Soviets and the Cold War, the communists?
Not as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, okay.
I don't know anything about that.
Right.
Like I said, each ship is an island, huh?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
No, I don't remember anything about that.
And how often would you get to go home?
Well, after I got married,
How'd you get married, being on an island? Sorry.
well, I was on shore duty, you know, after I was on the flying fish for about 5 years.
Oh,
There, I got transferred to shore duty up in New London, and the base is in the ammunition depot there, where they used to issue out torpedoes and ammunition for their guns and stuff like that, you know.
mm-hmm.
And they figured I need to be, you know, I had enough time at sea. They transferred me up there, but I'd rather stay at sea. But anyway, I was on up there for almost 2 years in the ammunition depot.
Mm-hmm.
And I got married while I was up there, just about the time that tour ended. And I got married in 53, and I had already been in, you know, all those years and everything. I was first class, gunner's mate then. And I got transferred from the ammunition depot down to Key West, Florida.
Nice.
And I was down there about a year, I guess, something like that.
What were you doing down in Key West?
I went on a submarine down there, the Manta.
The what?
The Manta, M-A-N-T-A.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was like a target submarine. They took everything out of the torpedo rooms, you know, all the torpedoes and all the racks and everything like that stored in there. And they put 12 by 12 tippers in there, in the torpedo rooms. And then they used to shoot torpedoes at this thing. And they had put double sides on them and all that kind of stuff.
So how often would you see your wife if you're on a submarine?
Oh, every day. They just go out during the day and come out at night. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. Okay.
Yeah, but
That's good.
every fourth day I have the duty or something like that, you know. Stay overnight.
How did you like Key West? Was it beautiful?
Same as it is today. Yes, it's beautiful. The only thing is, I used to drive my car to work. Right? I lived in Navy housing down there. I didn't have air conditioning then, in the 50s. And they had jealousy windows, you know. I used to drive my car to work, and the first couple of times I drove down there, you know, I'd come out at 4 o'clock to go home there, and it had rained, you know, and I left the windows open in the car.
No.
And the whole thing was filled up with water.
Wow.
They have, every afternoon at 3 o'clock in Key West, they have a storm. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So
Huh.
after that, I drive to work, and I close up the car, and then it was too hot to get into when I get off work, so I walk home. Yeah, it's only a mile from the Pacific Ocean to the Indian Ocean down there. From the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean.
To the
right?
Gulf.
To the Gulf,
Yeah.
right? It's only a mile. So the whole thing's less than a mile. You know? So I walk home, and then after dark, my wife and I take a walk down. I pick up the car, you know, or something like that, you know. But after it cooled off, but I learned my lesson leaving the windows open there.
Interesting.
And then a lot of the cars that are close their windows, their windows from the heat would break, shatter.
Oh my gosh. That's crazy.
And then down there, when you have a car, the whole island is built on marl, and marl is crushed coral, and that is very, very corrosive. So you get your car sprayed with tar, at the bottom of it sprayed with tar, and then about once a month you have to go and have it sprayed with oil to keep the tar loose, so it doesn't harden up and crack, Yeah. And I didn't have air conditioner. No, I didn't. No, I didn't have air conditioner. Didn't have air conditioner in cars. I didn't have heater in the car and everything. And what did you know? I got transferred back to New London. Yeah.
You finally had enough, right?
Yeah. So, I went to, I put in for fire control school. Now, this was the deal there. You go to this school, and you graduate from this school. It was a year and 3 months of school in Washington, D.C., right? So when you come out there, if you're first class, you would come out chief. Or if you're a second class, you come out first class, right after you finish the school. Really intensive school.
Wow.
8 hours a day, 5 days a week, So I went to the school, and while I was in the school, they changed everything. No more automatic promotions, so to make chief that way. Yeah, but anyway, I changed my rate from gunner's mate to fire control technician. Now, fire controlman doesn't mean they put out fires. It's control the pointing and laying of guns. That's what.
That kind of fire. Okay.
Right. See, if you're going to shoot over there, you got to point your gun at a certain thing. Same way with torpedoes. Like if you're going to hit a ship going, like say, 15 knots this way, and you're going 15 knots that way, and the water is going up and down or something like that. You got to put all that into a computer and figures it out and everything. What angle to shoot the torpedo at, But anyway, that's what a fire controlman does.
So it sounds like you must have been seeing a lot of change in technology in naval warfare from the time you first entered.
I got a very good education in radar and sonar in a school.
Oh.
Yeah. And what I got on this, from the fire control school, I went back to New London, was transferred back to New London, got on this ship, the Tench, the submarine Tench, SS-417. And I rode that for about 4 years.
And what was your job?
And I was a fire control technician on there. But also, I was like a sonarman. There stood sonar watches on there, stood radar watches on there, on the radar. And there was an electrician on there, because they're all part of being a fire control technician. You have all this kind of background, so you're eligible to be any place. Finally got enough seniority on there that I was doing chief's watch, like chief of the watch. That's on a submarine is like taking the senior man on watch. There's the ones that handles the manifold when they dive, like where they have, you ever hear the expression green board pressure the boat, when they open up all the valves on it and the boat goes down.
Oh, okay.
Right? And that's their job, and make sure they're like an assistant to the diving officer. Right? But they're in charge of all the enlisted men below decks and the chief of the watch. Right? But anyway.
How was that job for you?
It was good because you understand, if you have 10 chiefs, you understand, watch 1 in 10,
Right.
So, whatever, that's real good.
And what would you do in your downtime?
Sleep. No. Well, there's a lot of maintenance work that you do, like maintenance is going on all the time on a boat, you know, on a submarine, any ship. Hey, you don't sleep all the time when you're off, you know. You've got a lot of work to do.
Right.
And anyway,
So after Key West, you went back to New London.
I'm on a tent now.
Oh, right, you're on the Thames.
Yeah.
And where was your wife? Where was she living?
She was, okay, we got in the Navy, we bought a house in New London.
Oh,
And when we first went back up there, she got pregnant while I was in Washington there. And
I didn't know.
she had the baby when we got back to New London.
I didn't know you were in Washington.
That's where I went to school, to change my rate from gunner's mate to fire controlman.
Washington, D.C.?
Yeah. Yeah.
What was your favorite station?
My favorite what? Station? Oh, in New London. Yeah.
Well, obviously, right? That's where you bought a house.
Well, I bought a house because I was stationed there, you know. But we bought our first house there, $11,000.
I was just going to say, was your salary enough to support?
First class, yeah. I'd make a good salary.
And your wife didn't work?
No, she never worked.
Ah.
No. After we got married, she was working for Bankers Trust when we got married in New York. And she was a secretary to a vice president in Bankers Trust. And then we got transferred to Key West, and she didn't work after that. She took a couple of 2-week jobs, you know.
Oh, temporary.
But not really. She didn't work. She was a home hobby guy.
So you stayed in New London until your discharge?
Until what?
Until 62, your discharge?
Yes. Yes.
And what was the occasion of your discharge?
Just a minute now. I was on a tank, like say 4 years.
Okay.
And then after that, I got transferred to the submarine base school, submarine school. And I was at the submarine school in New London for 2 years. And I was an instructor in the officers' school there on fire control. Yeah.
How was that job?
Very good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get home every day.
So did you meet a lot of young sailors who were going to Vietnam? Or that was too early then?
That was too early.
Too early, yeah.
Yeah. Because I got out at 62. That was from 60 to 62.
So it's like you were in during peacetime more than you were in during wartime, would you say? Or equal amounts?
Well, I was in all during the war. In the Vietnam War, I was in New London, and, you know. But I wasn't in during Vietnam.
Are you considered a Vietnam era veteran?
No. Just World War II and Korea.
But weren't we in Vietnam during the 50s? The late 50s?
No. When Kennedy was president,
right.
Was the 60s. I was working for Lockheed.
Who?
Yeah.
You were working for who?
Lockheed Electronics, after I got out.
Oh, okay. Is that, that's aviation, right?
Lockheed Electronics? No, it's an electronic outfit. It's in Watchung. It's down where they make airplanes. It's where they make, we were making checkout equipment for the B-52 bomber.
Right.
And the...
Lockheed is a big contractor with the government, right?
Very big.
Right.
Yeah.
So what made
Major
you...
contractor. And Lockheed Electronics is just a little part of Lockheed.
Oh.
Lockheed Martin now.
So what made you want to go into that field? I mean, that company?
When I was an instructor in the submarine school, also submarine school in New London, Lockheed had permanent engineer working there, civilian contractor engineer, right? So they had to put in an ordnance alteration on the attack teachers. They used to teach the officers how to make attacks on these simulators, right? When they put this alteration in, I worked with this engineer, and him and I got along real good. He gave me a marvelous resume.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So I went down to Lockheed when I got out, when I retired, went down to Lockheed, and I was going to go for the whole week looking for a job. You know, go to Lockheed and go out to Long Island to Grumman and different places, you know, to get looking for a job. Got to Lockheed like 8 o'clock in the morning on a Tuesday morning. At 3 o'clock I was heading home with a job. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So you retired from the Navy, you were only 43 years old?
About 45.
Yeah. You were young.
Yeah.
And how long did you work for Lockheed?
The first time, about 3 years. And everybody who works for Lockheed works to a contract. And if you don't have a contract, you're out the door. The salary people are out at the end of the week, and hourly people are out in 2 hours. Yeah.
So what happened?
So I got laid off. And I went to work for Federal Pacific Electric Company. Yeah.
Where was that?
That's in Newark.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working for a department there as a, well, see, when I worked for Lockheed, I was a quality assurance inspector, engineer, quality assurance engineer. And I was I was working on this. They were making a checkout equipment for the B-52 bomber and for the C-5, that great big transport plane, you know, that they had.
Yeah.
Right? And I was in charge of quality assurance for those 2 jobs. Yeah. And then, when they ended, then I went to work for Federal Pacific, and they were building power equipment for the Minuteman missile site out in North Dakota, right? So they brought me in as a quality assurance engineer for those jobs. Yeah, so they didn't have any idea what building for the government was. They just figured if they built it bigger, it would pass the government test, you know, whatever the government said, double it, no pass, you know. But they shipped this first switchboard that's as big as that table out of the truck. And all the holes were like elongated, you know, they were things with the circuit breakers are bolted to it, you know. So on the truck, everything wound up at the bottom. And holy mackerel, they had to do the whole thing all over again. So I tried to, you know, I showed them, you know how you have to build things to the specification, you know, read the specs. They weren't reading the specs, you know, the government specs and all this kind of stuff, you know, use the wrong paint, use this wrong, everything wrong and everything like that. So we got that all right. But anyway, I built them a $1.98 piece of plastic, right? For these circuit breakers. You know the circuit breakers that you have in your house?
Mm-hmm.
You know? Well, these are big, about this big, that high, you know? Big power breakers for the missile sites, right? So on the back of them, there's a knob and a tulip. And that knob has to go in the tulip. Tulip looks just like a tulip, only it's like 4 pieces with springs around it, you know,
Mm-hmm.
so you have a little movement, right? So all I did was built the exact opposite in plastic, and for the knobs there, I had a hole where the knobs would go in, and all of them, and put them in there and bolt them in and lock them in, you know, with a bolt, right, so they couldn't move. And then the same way with the tulips, I had the tulips built to a permanent knob on a piece of plastic and locked that in, you know, so both pieces come together, right? But when they get out there, the knobs and the tools like this, down this edge or around here for things being shaken out of there where they're supposed to be. But anyway.
It sounds like you applied your knowledge from being on the submarine tender and building submarines and using the specifications, and it sounds like you were able to work later in life and show people how it's done.
I'm mechanically inclined for being a gunner's mate or something like that. I take those big guns apart, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Have them laying all over the deck.
Did you have to do it in the dark and blindfolded and all that stuff? Or that was...
You mean I have to do it?
No, did they make you?
No,
Oh, okay.
no.
Yeah.
No,
That's
you
good.
can't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess up. It has to be perfect.
No, well, you have to use, like, winches and come-alongs and, all kinds of different big mechanical tools. Anyway.
So what did the Navy do for you when you retired?
So they got me this job in Northfield, which helped me a lot, which got me this job in Federal Pacific,
Oh.
right? So then I was working at Federal Pacific, and Lockheed called me back. I want to double my salary.
Wow.
So I'm
what
back.
What a nice surprise.
And that only lasted about a year and 3 months, and let me off again.
The contract, yeah.
Yeah. I was doing they had some sound gear in the Bahamas, in the tongue of the ocean down there, about 6,000 feet down, and these little microphones were about that big around, and about that high, and they had them down in the, 6,000 feet down the ocean,
Wow.
and the submarines had run this course over these microphones, and they were testing them for noise and where they were making noise and, all that kind of stuff. So the microphones they bonded the wires to ceramics, and that's really hard to do. And this outfit in California, a couple of wires were coming loose. So to get a hold of the microphone, they had to bring in this deep salvage outfit out of New Orleans, J.R. McDermott out of New Orleans, to come and bring up this whole array of miles of wire and stuff to get a hold of this $2,800 microphone. It cost millions of dollars just to get this outfit there.
Wow.
So they're fighting with this outfit in Bendix Pacific in California, right? And then they sent me out there. They and this other fellow would go out for a month at a time and sit on this outfit for quality assurance and make sure they were doing everything right. And that was a touchy situation. You walk into the place and say, "Hello, how are you?" And they said, "Well, I got to get my lawyer." You were walking pins and needles out there then.
Huh.
But anyway, that lasted. We got that all squared away and working fine. And and they laid me off there too. Then I went back to work for Federal Pacific, and then I come back I went back to work for Lockheed, and then come back to work for Federal Pacific again, and I wound up working for Federal Pacific, and then they moved from Newark down to Raleigh, North Carolina, and I went down there and worked with them for 4 months down there, and I was commuting back and forth from New Jersey to North Carolina on weekends. I'd leave on Monday morning and come back Friday afternoon. Yeah, for 4 months, going back and forth to Federal Pacific in North Carolina and Raleigh.
Hmm. So did you retire then?
Then, no, not then. Then I was about 63 then, and they had a plant up in Bridgewater where they had a big recall on their circuit breakers. Federal Pacific recalled all the circuit breakers. Yeah. What happened there is that they found out that they were cheating on a test for the breakers.
Ah.
And instead of doing 10,000 operations, we're doing 8,000 on some of them, And so they had to recall all their breakers. Anyway, it cost them millions and millions of dollars. And when they brought them back, they set up this plant in Bridgewater, out of Route 202. Anyway, and I worked out there for 2 years, and I retired there when they finished up on December 31st in '83.
Oh.
Yeah. And I've been retired ever since.
And what did you do in your retirement? Anything?
Gardening.
Oh.
I was a big gardener.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I really went out for that big time.
And how did you end up in New Jersey? Your house was in New London, right?
Because I had this house, because I got this job in Lockheed, and I moved from New London to New Jersey.
Where?
And we stayed there for 43 years in South Plainfield.
Oh.
The reason I picked South Plainfield is because I was working, and Lockheed had two plants. They had a plant on Route 1 was a wire plant, where they made up all wire harnesses, and on the one on 22, you know, when they made the equipment, and I had to go back. I was working both of them, being quality assurance. I had to go and check on how to make the wires and go over here how to make the equipment, you know, and everything like that. So I just picked out a town in the middle, which was South Plainfield, and we've been there 43 years until I moved here.
It's a long time.
Yeah.
So how did you end up down here?
So they had the paper.
Oh.
And I went to 4 luncheons before I convinced my wife to come here. She didn't want to come. She didn't want to give up the house.
Oh.
And finally she did. And then now she wouldn't give it up for anything. She's really happy here.
Oh, that's great.
Me too.
Yeah.
We made a lot of new friends.
Yeah.
You know, real close friends.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Well, before we look at your things, I just want to say, Charlie, that I'm honored and humbled that you came today to speak to me of your sacrifices and contributions that you made.
Yeah.
What do you have there, a map?
This is where I was in the Philippines. And up in here is Subic Bay, in the town of Olongapu. There's a right alongside of it, in the town of Olongapu. When they got finished bombing it, the highest place in the town were the 3 steps of the church. Everything else was flattened. Yeah. And then the surface ships were running down to Manila here and bombing all down in here. Then they come back up here, we patch them up again.
Oh, okay.
Letter from Forrestal.
Wow, colorful.
Tench and a flying fish.
Look at that. It's really nice. And did you wear this on your uniform?
No, not on my uniform, no, on jackets that I had.
Oh, jackets, right. Your name's on it and the year. And your stars, your campaign stars.
Really got 5 good conduct medals.
How is that possible? Oh, you were... Because of your career.
Mm-hmm.
Your long career.
You get one for every 4 years.
Oh, I never knew that. Asiatic Pacific. These are so nice. World War II Victory Medal. Freedom from fear and want. Freedom of speech and religion. I never saw that. Yes, ribbons. What does the A mean?
North Atlantic.
Oh, okay.
And this is when I got out, when I retired.
That's nice. Who is he?
He's the commander of submarine school, New London.
Very nice. Very nice.
And I'm going to read you this.
Okay.
It's from the officer in charge of submarine school in London, Connecticut. Their recognition of service. On the occasion of your transfer to the Fleet Reserve after more than 20 years service, it is my privilege to commend you for your outstanding devotion to duty and exemplary performance. First enlisted on 20 April 1941. That's when I was called on active duty.
Okay.
Over 15 years of your career have been spent in submarine service, serving the submarines Flying Fish, SS-229, Manta, SS-299, Tanchest, SS-417, and various ships and activities in support of submarines. You spent the entire period of World War II in the submarine tender Griffin AS-13, accompanying the first squadron of submarines sent to the Pacific in World War II, and assisted in the establishment of the submarine repair base in Brisbane, Australia. The can-do attitude of the crew of the Griffin is well known in World War II submariners. Your awards include the Good Conduct Medal with 1 Silver Star, the American Defense Service Medal with a Bronze A, the American Area Campaign Medal, Asiatic Pacific Area Campaign Medal, the World War II Victory Medal, National Defense Service Medal, and the Philippine Liberation Ribbon. Several personal commendations. For the past 2 years, you have served in the Tactical Division of the Submarine School, operating and maintaining a Mark III submarine approach trainer, operating all attack teachers and instructing officers and enlisted students in fire control operation and maintenance courses. During your tour, you have earned the respect of your officers, your fellow instructors, and your students for your technical competence and high standards of performance. Your departure will leave a vacancy that will be hard to fill. Your shipmates join in extending the sincerest best wishes for success of your future endeavors and expressing regrets for your departure.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that's it. This is the Naval Memorial in Washington, D.C.
Oh, okay.
I got my name there.
Nice.
You're not interested in my dependents, are you?
No, sorry.
This is you.
Yeah.
This is from Governor Keane.
Oh, what is it? Where did you get this?
Where did I get it?
Yeah.
I don't know. He sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
They sent it to me. And this is when I completed 30 years of service.
Nice. Why does it say 1968?
That's counting from the time I joined the Naval Reserve
Oh, okay.
until the time I got out and everything, and time in the Fleet Reserve. When you get out of the Navy on 20 years, you don't get discharged. You get transferred to the Fleet Reserve, which means that until you get 30 years in, they can call you back with a letter. If there's another war or something like that.
So you must have been sweating it during Vietnam.
I was too old for that. And this is just to show you, I retired at $152 a month.
Is that? Oh, that's a finance record.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I belong to an outfit called the Naval Institute, U.S. Naval Institute.
And do they have meetings and reunions?
They have a monthly magazine that keeps you abreast of what's going on in the Navy.
That's nice.
Okay. Here's something I want to point out to you. This is a crew of the submarine Flying Fish. When I was on there. And this is me right here.
Where? Oh, put yourself there.
Right there.
Okay.
This guy here. This officer here.
Mm-hmm.
This is William J. Crow. He had just come out of submarine school and came aboard as his first tour of duty on a submarine.
Mm-hmm.
When I was standing below decks watch on his boat, and he was a duty officer. I used to instruct him in school of the boat. There. He later became the Chief of Naval Operations, 4-star Admiral, and an ambassador to England.
How about that?
Yeah, this guy.
Did you ever see him again?
No.
Yeah. Did you ever have reunions?
Yes, we did.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, but he wasn't there, though.
Oh.
And this officer here, this is Zach. He became an admiral.
I'm sorry, which one?
Huh?
Which guy?
This one.
Okay.
Admiral Zek, Z-E-C-K. And he, before they had nuclear boats, they made us a couple submarines with the teardrop shape that the nuclear boats wound up being, you know.
Uh-huh.
And he had the first one.
Oh.
And this is when I got invited to the Nautilus launching, when Amy Eisenhower launched the Nautilus. And this is when I was there at the Nautilus launching.
Oh, okay. In New London?
Yeah.
That's nice.
Okay. And this is when we went across the equator.
Oh, yeah.
The summons that they give you. See the summons?
Pollywogs and...
Yeah.
What was your initiation?
I'm not only went across the equator, went across the, I got a, where you go across the equator in the International Meridian at the same time.
Oh.
The Golden Dragon, twice.
Oh.
Yeah.
And what did they do to you? How did they... What?
Beat you. First time you go across, you know, is rough.
I've heard of crawling through garbage. I've heard of electrocutions even.
What?
Electrocution?
Nah. And this is a griffin.
So how many, how big is your family now?
2 boys and 2 girls.
Oh, nice.
And I have 7 grandchildren.
That's nice.
Yeah, I spent the whole war on it. See these guns up here?
Let me see.
The 350s up there. I had those guns. And I was over here, there was some 40 millimeters over here and 20 millimeters up there on the bridge. And I had all those guns to take care of.
Okay.
And remember I told you about the bow of the ship where I got caught? It was right down in there.
Oh. Did you ever have bad dreams about that?
No. Never had a bad dream.
That's good. Well, I'm sure you're very proud of your service, as well you should be.
And this is where it was. You see that?
Yeah.
During the war.
Okay, thanks.
And this is when I was on the Tench. This is the Tench here. And over in Monte Carlo, in the Mediterranean for 3 months.
Oh, okay. Sounds pretty good.
It's the captain. It's the exec. See here, these bunks here? This is in the torpedo room. This is where they're loading torpedoes. See, they put them down here, come down the thing here, then slide them onto racks that are under there. And that's a boat,
Oh.
the Tedge.
What was your favorite boat?
Well, all submarines are called boats. It's a carryover from when they first started.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And this is the flying fish.
Come on in, it's okay. Have a seat.
Hello, Herman.
Now this is a painting, right?
Huh?
This is a painting?
Yeah,
Go ahead, sit down.
colored picture.
How'd you get this?
They got it for a reunion that we're at.
I wanted to ask you about the reunions.
Okay, just a minute. The Flying Fish was the first submarine to make 5,000 dives. Yeah, and when they did, the Secretary of the Navy came aboard
How nice. Where was that?
in New London, Groton. When I say New London, I mean really mean
That's okay.
Groton, you know, Connecticut.
And who was he?
It's Dan Kimball. And he relieved me on the bow planes.
How's the Navy doing?
40 knots and no smoke.
Did you get any tattoos?
No. I don't
Did-
believe that.
A lot of sailors did, right?
This is a marathon ad I was in.
Do you consider yourself a sailor if you were on a submarine?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
See, that's me.
Oh. That's a great shot. It's really nice.
Okay.
It's nice to have that.
It's about the 5,000 dive. The Army Navy Register.
Oh, I never saw that.
This is my certificate for being a diver.
Did you suffer any ill effects from breathing in the exhaust when you were diving?
Not that I know of, I don't know. Don't feel. And this is when I changed my rate from gunner's mate to fire patrolman. And this is just when I became an instructor at a submarine school. Yeah, I had to go to a
Oh, that's
instructor
nice.
school.
Yeah. Okay.
And this is when they launched the Nautilus that I was at.
Oh. You probably shouldn't bend that because it's ripping.
Hmm?
It's ripping. You probably should keep it open. Wow. Okay.
And we had a reunion in
Oh.
New London, in Groton. And this is me. That's all the guys who are left from the Flying Fish.
Where are you? I'm sorry. Oh, okay. With that dark hair.
I was the young ones.
Yeah. Everyone looks so happy to be back together.
Well, see, all of these guys are gone now, too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
About 10 years ago.
It's nice that you got together, though.
Yeah. This guy here was the one who ran it. And him and his wife really got involved. Okay.
So is this the most that you've ever talked about it?
Guess so.
Yeah. Good job. Thank you for your service. Thanks, Charlie.